We're off. Good evening, everyone, or good morning, or whatever date time you're at. Welcome at another virtual DDD meetup. Today with Rozemarijn and Evelien, and they're gonna talk to us about the power of personal engagement. Welcome and thank you for coming, Evelien and Rozemarijn. Maybe you can introduce yourself and then let's start.
Yeah, sure. For the people who can't pronounce my name, you can just call me Rose. That's the easy version of my name. If you've not yet already done so, before we get started, please make sure you have either 2 A4 pieces of paper, a pen, or a marker, or anything you can draw with. And sticky notes are also fine, so that's up to you. But we want to make it an interactive session to get the most out of this session. So make sure that you are prepared to join us and participate in our activities. Evelien, you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yes, well, I'm Evelien and I work at CB Academy. So I teach trainings. I was just distracted by the chats, but no worries. It was Kenny. And today we will be talking about personal engagement, but we will not only be talking about it, we will also be practicing it. So, and having that said, it would be great, amazing, awesome, wowzers, if you could put on your camera so we can see your faces. So if you have not done so, please put your camera on if you are able to. We're not going to force you, but it would be great to look at your faces instead of your names.
That helps us make it a bit more interactive, and it's also much more fun to look at all your expressions during this session.
Yeah.
So thank you. Very nice.
Great.
Shall we get started?
Yeah, so I put something in the chat. It's a mural, so see if you can access that. I saw some people already, some visiting shrimps and bananas and whatever.
Yeah.
So go to the mural.
We'll be doing a few activities in here. We will also be sharing our screen, so just to make sure that you can see what we're doing. But there's some activities that we're going to do there. And it would be great if we can see some of you there. And I already see a few of you in the mural, so that's great. So what we're going to do is start by asking a few questions. And the first question that I have for you, of course, we all encounter personal engagements. We have interactions. So do you have for us an example of an event where personal engagement was lacking? So tell us what happened, what challenges did you encounter? Can be both offline or face-to-face. Let us know. You can grab a sticky note from the site and I will give you, let's say, 3 minutes.
Yeah,
to think of a few things and write an answer down.
Yes.
And good luck. I already see a few things happening, so that's great.
Mm-hmm.
I see that there are a lot of examples, so I think we chose the right topic to discuss.
Yes. If you're not able to access the mural, but you do want to share something, then please leave it in the chat so we can put it on the mural for you.
And even if you're following this via the live stream, feel free to reach out to us. You can still interact via chat or get a link to the mural. I think, Kenny, can you post there as well?
I'll post Good one. I'm watching the chat on YouTube, but I've just sent the mural link on it.
Cool. You see, even when we don't see each other, we can engage.
Yes, exactly.
I'll give it one more minute. Okay, shall we continue?
Yes, yeah, we can. So we have a lot of information already on the board. I'm going to ask you to go through them, so read them, and see if you recognize any other challenges from other people that were put on the mural. And then you can move one of the smiley faces, well, not really smiley faces, but one of these yellow things to something that you recognize. So what is something that you might have experienced, or something that you also see in your events or sessions or meetings? So place your sticky notes or place your smileys. Move them apart a little bit. Just creating some space here. And you don't have to stop when you put one there. You can obviously have multiple experiences or commonalities.
No more emojis moving, so I think most of you already made some choices. You see that this one is really recognizable. If strong voices always speak, sometimes the rest is not engaged. I think that's a really good one. I think we can tackle later, maybe.
Yeah. So navigating to the board. Really successful. Great. Okay, so a lot of challenges and a lot of challenges that have happened to multiple people, more persons. I don't know. So more sticky notes on the board. What we want to help you with is how can you tackle these challenges, or how can you use brain science principles to prevent these things from happening. And that sounds more difficult than it is. And if you go a little bit down on the mural, on the part where it says concepts, then you will see that you have some squares with it. It says quick draw. So now is the time that you get your A4 paper next to you, or your sticky notes, because I'm going to ask you to draw along. While I'll explain the brain science principles, I'm going to ask you to create a simple drawing of that. So we're going to reveal brain science principle first. I'm going to ask you to draw, and after that I will explain. So do you want to reveal the first one? Yeah. So the first one, I'm going to ask you to create a visualization. Maybe afterwards.
That's better.
Maybe afterwards, after my explanation. So the first brain science principle that you could use to increase personal engagement and to create more involving and engaging sessions is the science that your brain is able to pay attention between 10 to 20 minutes. After that, your brain kind of goes into standby modus, unless something new happens. So if you want to keep your meetings, your sessions, your events, I don't know what you do to your gatherings. If you want to keep them interesting, make sure that you chop them up in small parts, small chunks of 10 to 20 minutes, because otherwise the brain will lose attention and you'll get distracted people. So that's the first brain science principle that you could use to create more engaging and evolving sessions or whatever you want to use. Then, so visualize that. Create an icon or a simple graphic of the brain science principle. It's called shorter over longer, or shorter trumps longer. I'm just going to give you 30 seconds maybe to draw something. Does not have to be the next Van Gogh or something. It's just an icon or a symbol. Make it easy for yourself. You can do that on your sticky notes, A4 paper, or maybe you're drawing on an iPad. Also possible. Then the next one. The next one is related to the first one. It is called different over same, or different trumps same. And your brain does not, like I said before, your brain does not pay attention to anything that is boring or repetitive or something that you have seen many times before. Like if you drive every day from home to work, at a certain moment, you kind of not know what happened between the time you left home and the time that you got at the office, because it's kind of automatic pilot. It's where parts of the brain say to your conscious brain, hey, don't worry about it. We know this road. You don't have to pay attention. I've got this. And you don't want your participants in your sessions to be like that. You want to have their attention. So to prevent that from happening, those brains going into standby mode or autopilot mode, you want to do a different thing every time. You want to vary in your formats, you want to vary in your media, you want to vary in the setup to keep the brain engaged. And that is the brain science principle, different over same, because your brain does not pay attention to boring things. So draw something that represents different over same. And again, I'll give you 30 seconds to create something. Okay, what's the next one? Can you reveal it? Talking over listening. So talking over listening, if you are in a conversation or if you are talking, you are processing information, you're processing it 3 times. Hey, if you're talking to someone, you have to, information comes into your brain, you have to think about it, and you also have to think about how you're going to say something, so how it goes out. So your brain is processing the information 3 times. And the more your brain is processing that information, the more your brain is engaged, the better you pay attention. So if you are in a session and you are just listening, just taking in information, that's kind of a one-way street. If you have to do something with it, more parts of your brain have to be involved. So you will pay attention better, you will learn better, and you will be participating. So Yeah, what I always do in trainings, I'm not teaching like 1 hour straight and it's just me talking. It is people talking, having conversations, discussions, table group discussions, just to let them be involved in the training. But this works in any session, right? So if you have a meeting with the volunteer committee, or if you have something at the office, this works in every session. Talking over listening. So draw something that represents that. I'll give you 30 seconds.
Can you move your mural to the concept? So you're sharing the board.
Yeah,
There,
one moment.
hovering over it. Yeah, no problem.
Let me just get it zoom. I just push some button. Let me just. Where is it? Does not seem. I think I pushed the control or command button.
You're way zoomed out.
Yeah.
According to me following you.
Here we go. But it does not seem to move. Anyways. Just
Otherwise, I will share. I'll go into meeting.
Yeah, we'll get hold on. We'll get a echo then. I don't know what I pushed. Let me see if it's fixed with this. Yeah. Can you still see my mural screen?
Yeah.
So now it works. I think I pushed something like a key combination or something. And I didn't know which it was. So thank you for that. Oh, right. Non-facilitators. Okay. So the next one, talking over the next one is movement over sitting. So movement over sitting means that if you stay in the same position for a while, or if you have been staying in a position for a while, it means that your blood flow is getting slower, and the way that you can increase your blood flow and get some oxygen to your brain is movement. So I'm going to ask you to stand up, to get up off your chair, and to move. Do a short stretch for yourself. And you can do this sitting if you don't want to get up, but I can assure you it feels very good to do this during any session that you have. So what we are trying to do is to increase your blood flow, get oxygen to your brain, and then you think and learn better. And the oxygen kind of gives your brain a boost. So you do want to incorporate that in your sessions, online or in person, and just get people up and get them stretching around. And that might feel a little bit uncomfortable at first, but if you do it every session, it will become part of your habits. So draw something that represents movement over sitting, please. And incorporate it in your sessions. It will be helpful. Guaranteed. Then the next one, images over words. Human beings are visual, what do you call it? Visual preference.
Yeah, inclined.
Yeah, inclined. Yeah,
Visually
we are a visual species. That means that a large part of our brain is focused on looking, on watching, on images, and we also store images better than just words alone. So what you want to do is to use as much parts of your brain. You want to use a lot of images. So if you are in a session and you have a lot of slides with words on it, people will be distracted. They might be bored, because images are more appealing to us. It's just like dogs. Their best sense is smell or their nose, and for us it's our eyes. That's our most important sense. Do we call it sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you want to use that. You want to use that in your sessions to create visually attractive slides if you need, or drawings or whatever, to use a large part of your brain. And the more your brain is involved, the better you are engaged. So I'm going to ask you to draw something that represents images over words. Give you 30 seconds. And then we'll go to the last one, which is writing over reading. Meaning that if you are writing, instead of just reading, a large part of your body is involved. And if you are reading, your mind might wander off. That is not possible when you're writing, because when you write, you have to focus. You have to think about what you're writing down, right? You're processing information. Maybe you're summarizing or writing down highlights. So you really have to think about what you're writing down. And that thinking, again, helps you to focus on the thing that you need to do. If you're just listening and processing the information once, going in, you're less engaged. So in your sessions, in your meetings, in your Scrum events, in your other conference talks, use as much of these brain science principles to keep your audience, to keep your participants, to keep your students more engaged. And there's also, and that's where Rozemarijn comes in, there's also the part about nonverbal behavior, but I will let that to Rozemarijn. She can tell you more about that.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit curious. So before yes, that's good. Before we really go into nonverbal behavior, can you quickly show me your drawings? Because I think that's always really awesome to see what's going on.
I'm curious.
Oh yes.
Ah.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah, good.
It's always amazing because everyone interprets it a different way. So it's nice to see all the different draws. It's Ivan, it's difficult with the filter on, but nice.
Oh, nice, Gitte.
Oh, very nice.
I see something, Masoud, but
Okay. My 1-year-old draws better than me, so you only get to see it from this distance.
You know what? The amazing part about this, you don't have to be good in it to actually make it work for you. So very nice.
Okay.
Well done. Thank you. It's really great. Okay, so connecting to the brain science principles are the way you communicate non-verbally. Both you as a speaker, presenter, leading a meeting, but also the participants, so people, your colleagues, friends, how they behave really helps you to make a connection with them. So my first question for you is, how many examples of nonverbal behavior do you think you could name in a minute? And you can just show me your hands. Is that 10? Is that 8? Is that how many do you think you could show? You can also write it in the chat. How many examples do you think you have? Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. 5, 10, 10-ish, 9, 8. Okay, good. So I saw that every one of you at least knows one. So my question for you is, in the chat, can you quickly answer how many or one of those examples of using nonverbal behavior? Take your time to quickly write it and wait a second before answering, so then we can answer all in one go. So I'm going to give you another minute to do that. Type in the chat.
And don't hit enter yet.
Yeah, don't hit enter yet.
Oh,
There's already one.
Which chat are we talking about? Is it the Zoom chat or?
Zoom chat.
Okay.
No worries, Matthijs. Maybe we have another one to keep secret.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, you can hit enter now. I see facial expression, pointing, rolling eyes, very nice specific examples. And Matthijs obviously had body language, standing still, using your eyebrows. You see, together we already know quite some things about nonverbal behavior. There are so many indicators that you can use. Yeah, Evelien is quickly gonna show you. There we go. There are plenty. Of course, showing emotions, using your hands gestures, the way you use your voice is often forgotten. The way you use your voice always has an impact. So I can say no, but it can have 1,000 meanings. So the way I color my voice is part of your nonverbal behavior. The way you focus with your eyes, a touch, but also clothing, hairstyle, even my surroundings are part of your nonverbal behavior. It's indicators we take in where we draw meaning from. And they always say that 80% of your communication is nonverbal, though scientifically, it's hard to prove that because we always forget that nonverbal behavior without an actual language to support is nothing. So combined, we can take the most meaning out of it. And of course, there's small gestures you can do or typical things we can do to that have meaning without words. But if we want to completely understand each other on a deeper level, we both need language, verbal communication and non-verbal communication. So now that we've established that, I'm going to try to connect the brain science principles via non-verbal communication. And we're going to do that with some myths and facts. So this is what's going to happen. You're gonna either, I'm not gonna say, normally live I would say sit down or stand up. For now, you can just raise your hands high or raise them low, maybe with some jazz hands if you want to be creative. And the first myth that I'm going to share with you is going to be revealed right now. So you can only create images with graphics. Do you think this is a myth or do you think this is a fact? So myth's up in the air and fact is more down to earth. You can show me whether you think it's a myth or it's a fact. And I see most hands raised. And that's very nice because that's true. Images, the first thing that comes to mind is maybe a picture or a cartoon or anything else. But with your voice, you can also really trigger someone's imagination by simply, for example, using the phrase, imagine if there was an elephant and you have to give the elephant a color. Very good. Yeah, that relates to the images, Trump. But if I say so imagine an elephant and give it a color, one person might give it a pink color, the other one gray, more realistic or whatever. So with your words, you can trigger imagination and you can trigger that Trump as well. And then it really helps if you use good voice dynamics. If I say, imagine if there's a pink elephant in the room, you're like, oh no, never mind. But if I almost like a child story, try to make it more colorful, your brain starts working. So we're going to go to the next one. The middle effect is shorter over longer does not apply to storytelling. If you think that's a myth, do this. If you think that's a fact, go low. And I do want to see your fingers low on the screen, obviously. Make a choice. Evelien, can you reveal it?
Yes.
So, storytelling, especially people who do that as a profession, are obviously real artists. So shorter over longer does not apply to them. And therefore, relating to our work and our communication with people, it's so important that you focus on the way you use your body language, you use your gestures, you use your voice, because you can draw people in with your story. Even if that's a story about numbers, the way you color it, the way you put energy in it, or the way you lower your voice when you say something important, is gonna help that person focus and stay more engaged. So we might not be storytelling artists who can tell stories of an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Same in theater. If you go to a theater show, it can take 3 hours and you're never bored. You're always engaged. We can use those tricks and techniques in order to draw in people for a longer period of time. So that's important to focus on. Are you ready for the next?
Nope.
So it's a little bit revealed already in the nonverbal signs we discussed, but background or clothing does not have any effect on your nonverbal behavior. Is that a myth? Or is that a fact? I see Matthijs, who gives the right answer. It's a bit of a trick question because it has a negative in there. But background or clothing does have an effect on your nonverbal behavior. Not only on your own nonverbal behavior, but also how you are perceived by others. At the first, when the pandemic started, for example, you see someone in the screen like this. I've been a teacher for a long time, so I had lots of kids sitting like this, sometimes in their bed. It does have an effect on their energy, the way they are perceived by others, the way that you might also feel yourself, because now you don't feel like concentrating and working hard, do you?
No.
You feel like going to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So it really matters. And for me, one great tip of what you can do there, if you're having a bad day or you woke up really tired, sometimes it's really nice to put on something nice and warm and cozy and walk around your house on slippers, especially if you're working from home. But if you have an important meeting or you want to ace that day, it helps putting on clothing that helps you achieve that. So putting on something a bit more neat or nice, or your favorite shirt whilst going out, can help you regain that energy. And for the women among us, it also helps for men or whatever, but women, it's much more easier. If you are presenting something and you wear a little bit of a heel, that helps you stand straighter, and because you stand more straight, you have more energy. So it's important to think about that, the way you dress, and also your background. Online, I think one of the most trickiest thing is you don't know what's going on behind someone's screen. So we have to take that in consideration when we're working together. So if somebody looks at something with a certain expression, we do not know for sure whether they're reacting on us or maybe a colleague walking by. Or in my case, at the beginning of the pandemic, I was working and I had a view on a very busy street, and every once in a while there would be an accident right in front of me. Well, if somebody's just telling me something and I react to the accident, that might lead to some misinterpretation. So, on to the next.
Yes.
So the way you position your body can help you regain energy. We already said that movement, it's movement over sitting, but do you think the way you position your body is that a myth or is that a fact? I see some low hands.
In the middle of something?
And someone in the middle, but low hands. Yeah, it's very good. Imagine Evelien again with her hoodie on, and you know those kids that sit at the back of the class. Here we go again, who lean all the way backwards, kind of like lounging. If you're in a meeting that you already find really boring, sitting like that or all the way back is not going to help. But this is it's a trick, both manipulating your audience a little bit and also yourself. Instead of doing this, you can do this with me for a second if you want. If you feel yourself doing this, try to change it to this. If you do that and you try to send some energy to that brain, and this position really helps you to maintain your energy for longer. And obviously, it's not only about the hands and the way you place it, but it's also about putting your body posture a little bit up. So instead of really hanging like this, trying to put it up a little bit more. You look more interested, and also you feel more energized because your body posture is more active. So even though it's good to move every once in a while, your body posture can help you maintain that energy for longer. Next one. Typing works the same as writing. This relates to writing over reading, obviously. If you think that typing works the same as writing, put it up. If you think it's a myth, if you think it's true, put it down. If you think it's a myth, put it up. I see some really high raised hands, and that's correct. What we do when we write something, one, it takes much more of our focus and our concentration, but it also does something to your brain. Whilst you're writing, and it doesn't happen with typing, there's not much more neurons that make connections, which helps you to memorize something much quicker. And it also helps you to make a contract with yourself. So let's say I want to reach a goal and I type it, it's not the same as I write it. Because if I write it with my hand on a piece of paper, I commit to it. And it just doesn't feel like when you're typing. So the way you use your muscles when writing can help you to make sure that you keep engaged, that you live up to the agreements that you made during a meeting. And therefore, I scribble down, I think, almost 20 of those notebooks a year. Obviously, if you want to do that more sustainable, you can do it on like a notepad, or you have these dry erase booklets where you can use with like a marker. But it really helps you to connect to the content better. The last one. Being silent is the best way to let others take ownership. Think if you work with Agile or if you're a Scrum Master, you might know the answer to this. But if you think being silent is the best way to let others take ownership, you can go low. If you think it's a myth, you can go up. We're halfway there. I see some people doubting. It is true, it relates a bit on the context. I can walk into a meeting, not say anything that's not helpful. I always have to be careful with the things I say, because sometimes what I said is taken really literal. But if you, and you can reveal it if you want, if you take be silent at the right moment, that can really help others to be engaged. And I think it's one of the most difficult things is not when to be silent, but how to be silent for a really long time. Because if I keep on talking, or if I break the silence, I'm not going to achieve my goal. So I really want to be silent. If I ask a question, be silent, wait for that answer. That answer will come. Even though it takes 10 minutes, it will come. There will be somebody who's going to take over from you, but you have to trust on that. So giving ownership to others is sometimes also stepping back yourself.
Also, a good trick is to count inside your head in the beginning, because then you don't feel that it takes so long. And after a while, you get used to being quiet and waiting.
But I still do that. Sometimes you said, okay, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do something. I count, because otherwise, or I put in a little timer, because otherwise it feels like 30 seconds. It could be 5 seconds for me. So that really, really helps. And it's difficult, but it's also very powerful, because we want to give ownership to the people we communicate with. But we often forget that means we need to change our behavior sometimes too. So hopefully with this, we've given you a few tips and tricks on what you can use to increase that personal engagement. We have some time left to tackle a challenge. Did you already manage to combine them together, or?
Well, I was thinking, since we've been talking so much already, I think it's time for the people to talk.
Yeah.
So I'm going to split you up in 2 breakout groups, and then I want you to pick the challenge that we put up on the board earlier, and see how could you tackle that challenge with the brain science principles. So what would you do to prevent it, or what action could you take? And think about what would you look for in nonverbal behavior. So of the challenges that you've added to the board earlier, pick one and discuss it with your breakout room group. Which brain science principle could you use, and what nonverbal behavior would you be looking for? We will give you 4 minutes to discuss that. Please don't drop out once we go into breakout rooms, because else we have, well, maybe people waiting for other people, and that will be sad. That will be sad. Let's see. We have 9. I'm gonna split you up in 2.
Yeah, and whilst we do this, we will also do something for the people that follow the live stream. So you don't have to stop watching. We will do something for that too, right? Yep.
Yes,
we'll improvise.
Of course. Here we go. So pick a challenge. Think about brain science principle and nonverbal behavior. See you later. Oh, I have to put Arthur in the same room, of course, else you have split personality.
Oops.
Gonna try this. See you back in 4 minutes. Put a timer on the mural. Bye-bye.
Kenny, in the meantime, are there questions on the YouTube channel?
No.
Is there anybody watching?
Yes, there are a few people watching.
What we could do is maybe take one of the challenges and give a solution for it ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that depends on what they are discussing.
Yeah, but we can pick one, right?
Oh yeah, but maybe the breakout rooms are discussing
that one as well. Well, we have one from a previous session we can probably use.
Yeah.
Let me think. I think one of the ones that we often get is what do you do when someone is distracted?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's say you're in, and especially this works more virtually than it works.
So on the phone or something, watching.
Yeah, on the
that.
phone or something, for example. So
Yeah.
I'm in a meeting or on a second screen. You know, there's people who watch the second screening. You feel like okay, they're programming whilst I'm trying to have my daily stand-up.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah, I often hear about people with the second screen. I have one here that all of a sudden it's dark, and when you're in the dark, it suddenly lights up, right? So you know the other person is actually changing screens at that moment. So
Yeah, doing something different. Yeah, exactly.
So if you see that, Evelien, which brain science principle would you use to tackle that?
I would use different over same. So like, you know that if you're watching a TV show and there's a commercial in between, there's a reason why it's like after 10 minutes or after 10 to 20 minutes, I should say.
Yeah.
Because that's the time where your brain is going, when the attention of your brain is going downwards. And when you have a commercial after those 10 to 20 minutes, your brain will pay attention to it because it's new and it's different, and that commercial attracts or engages you again. So I would say do something different to keep the people involved and not distracted. So that you make them pay attention. I am not saying that you should do commercials in your sprint or something, but
well, you just did a breakout group, right? Which is a trigger, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, because it's different than we did before, and it might be something that is unexpected, and that puts your brain on. So I would do that.
Yeah.
What would you do?
Well, first of all, if I see it, I would also say that I see it. So I would, or ask the question, because I can make a lot of assumptions, but I can see like, hey, is it possible that I can see you looking at another screen? And then usually the answer with, yeah, there's something important I need to do. Or maybe they're like, oh yeah, sorry. So just pointing it out because you see something happening already helps a lot. And then maybe if I feel people getting distracted, make them move a little bit so that they regain energy. So that you can also use movement over sitting.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah,
exactly. And movement is also different.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true.
Great.
But just, recognizing it and not ignoring it is, I think, the first step.
Yeah, good one. So I've closed our breakout room. So in 30 seconds, our participants will be back. And very curious what they have discussed, which challenge they have discussed, and what brain science principle they picked. So just have to wait for a few more moments. We're going to share our conclusions or what we thought of.
We'll see.
I think we have time.
Yeah, but we can first see what they have come up with.
Yeah, they have 20 seconds. Let's see.
So this is your 20 seconds if you're watching a live stream to run around your house, to grab yourself.
Move, to move. Yes, this is your 20 seconds to move. Without anybody watching.
You can do both, right? You can put up music and then people will start dancing. So you have different and the other one.
Exactly. You get it. You got it. Great. Welcome back. We are very curious what challenge you talked about, and of course, what brain science principle you would use. And also maybe what non-verbal behavior you would be on the lookout for. So who wants to share something? I hear sharing sound, but that was not what I was asking for. But go ahead, Matthijs.
So one thing that we discussed, or a few things we discussed, was that when you first meet someone, and it's actually like the inverse of different over same, is that you look for similarities between people. And also that there's a physical component often that you shake hands. So that's also one of the non-verbals, I think, applied.
Yes.
And also the mechanics of speed dating, that they also come into play there.
Like mirroring and seeing whether you like each other, and all those things are very much part of the non-verbal behavior there, right? really cool.
Well,
How do you
maybe
do that online? Go
maybe
ahead.
it's also the time limitation. So when you have only 3 minutes to introduce to each other, so to make it more sparkling. So also it was an idea that movement can be more useful than sitting down. So for example, the setup of the room can be made without chairs, so people always float around. So it's maybe not really non-verbal specifically, but some ideas that appeared.
Yeah, great. Take out the chair so people cannot sit and rest.
Yeah, but it is kind of part of the nonverbal in the sense of that you give a certain message with the environment that you're in. No
Yes.
place to sit, you're
And
going to be active.
If you had champagne and some snacks, it would be even better.
It will just be a party.
Everything gets better. It's champagne and snacks, I think. So
Great. So we're talking about dating and Paul talking about partying. What else was discussed in the breakout rooms? Was there anything else, a challenge that you discussed, or?
Yeah,
anything?
we talked about people looking at their phone a lot, and yeah, we came across some of these concepts like different over saying. Maybe you can while you're presenting, while you can make a different tone of voice or something to engage the audience. And also movement over sitting. Maybe Christoph can contribute on this, and also other stuff. Yeah, Christoph.
Yeah, so like writing so that you can't actually use your phone. We also talked about kind of setting the stage before coming in. First, we talked about the nice way, kind of expectations to not use the phone. We talked about the evil way of using silence and just looking really mad at them while they're sitting with their phones. That might also work. Not as nice, but the thing about setting expectations in the beginning, and this is what we want out of it.
Yeah, good one. Yeah. And I also like that if you have to use your hands drawing or writing or having them in the air or down, and you cannot use your phone anymore. So trying to find ways to keep the phone out of the hands. But we also talked about something. We talked about people that are distracted or looking at another screen. While you are talking to them, or while you're in a conversation, or while you are in a design session or whatever, and what we would do about it. So, Rozemarijn, do you want to share what you would do?
Yeah, we gave the people who are watching the live stream, we gave them a sneak peek on this topic because we often come across it. So what I find very important is that when I'm in a meeting and I have the time to look at the people that are in there, I can check whether they are distracted or not. I can easily see when they look at another screen or when they look down at their phone. And then, of course, I can make an assumption and get mad, but then I can also just, ask about it. Hey, I can see that you're on another screen. Why is that? Or are you distracted? Or is there anything you need from me in order to stay with us in that meeting? And then often it's like, oh yes, sorry, I got distracted by this pop-up. But also sometimes it happens that someone says, yeah, I'm really sorry, there is this crisis, I'm really distracted. And then I can also be like, okay, that sounds like you might need to leave this meeting and come back at a later time, because this is something you need to handle. So I try to make myself stay open-minded to the fact that even though people seem distracted, they might have a reason for that, because it's late at night, or because there's people walking in the hallway and you need to wave at them. So it's good to be aware of it, and then sometimes just point it out. When you see something, say something. I think that's important. And what's been said with the brain science principles, I think, is also true. Different trumps the same is a very important one. Yeah, ask them to raise their hands. No phone.
Yeah, great. So thank you for sharing that, and I want to thank you, the participants, for thinking about it and sharing it. We have shown you how to, or at least we think, we have shown you how you can create an engaging and involving session where it's not just the presenters or the people who are sharing information are doing the hard work, but also you as participants. Because in this session, we have used images over words, we have talking over listening, we have shorter over longer. I think we hit them all, right?
Probably.
Yeah. So we're not going to do them all, but I think we did a pretty good job.
I hope we practice what we preach.
I think we did. So just to get an idea of how you feel about using these brain science principles and how you feel about the session, we would love, as a conclusion, to have your feedback. So we still have 1 minute. So if you go a little bit down on the mural in the checkout, there are some fingers here. You can point them to, okay, 100. I think that was great. Or anything less is also fine. If you thought, well,
This was not for me.
So please give us your feedback. And while you're doing that, please know that in this session, we are combining our 2 disciplines. For me, that is training and, I want to say training and teaching, but it's just training using brain science. And for Rozemarijn, that is nonverbal behavior and acting. And we hope in this combination of our skills and discipline, we were able to share some of our knowledge with you that you can use in any session, any event, any conference talk, any
Conversation or communication that you have.
Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, Kenny, for asking us. And we can stick around for some questions if needed, but I know we're at a time limit at 8 o'clock. So it is 8 o'clock, or at least in the Netherlands.
It is. Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you, both of you. So I'm not sure if people want to ask some questions or have some questions.
Maybe we can stop sharing so we can look them in the eyes.
I first wanted to celebrate. And then stop the sharing.
Very nice.
Well, I have a
Well,
question.
thanks again. Yeah, go ahead, Ivan.
Yeah, so I loved very much this trick with the hand and with the finger. It's really sparks more energy, at least for me when I tried it. And do you have some other these kind of tricks, or what's the source you usually use to learn that?
Well, I'm a great source to learn that. No, I can give you one more trick. Would be easy. Let me think.
Well, we do standing up, sitting down, myth and fact. We usually do, okay, if you think it's a myth, then you stand up. If you think it's a fact, you sit down.
Yeah. So
that's one. And another one is here's a statement. Do you agree with it? Then you stay close to your camera. Don't agree with it, move back. Okay.
Wow, I like it. That's amazing.
The range, like kind of in the middle or all the way there. I don't agree. And you can do that with different.
Yeah. And on the non-verbal side, if I'm presenting something, as we are right now, we're standing. And what happens if you're standing? You will use your hands much more. And even though I have to lift them up a little bit more than what I may be used to when I'm not on a screen, this makes me much more flowing when speaking. So sitting down really makes me use, you can't see it because the hands are down, but makes me put my hands on my lap, and then I get less active. So that's another tip for you.
Does that help?
Thank you. Yes, definitely.
Great. Thank you for your question. Any other questions?
What does DDD do in the title of your talk? Virtual DDD hands-on.
Oh, you should ask.
I can explain. So within domain-driven design, there's a lot of these domain modeling sessions, right? Which are these software design sessions where you also need people to be engaged. Right? Just like, for instance, a retrospective in Scrum. In DDD,
I thought I was wrong. Okay, but it is domain-driven design. Okay.
Yeah. So within event storming, for instance, which is a very known tool within domain-driven design, when you're in the room, you're already moving, right? Most of the time. So that's all, but if you're sitting down behind a screen and doing event storming on a mural, well, how do you keep it more engaged then, right? There's a few tricks. For instance, I think different from same, especially in big picture, I try to move in and out of breakout rooms every 10 to 15 minutes to keep it engaged. While when you're in a room standing up, you already have that out of the box. But I think that's.
And you also now already mentioned shorter over longer. Because if you have breakout rooms every 10, 15 minutes, that means you use shorter amount of portions.
And that's why I invited Evelien and Roos, because, well, these sessions we do within domain-driven design and software design.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought it was just because you found it interesting. And then you make up stories.
As well, yes. Different from no. No, that was actually intention. I followed training from the back of the room like a few years ago, and I use a few of these techniques as well. But I just follow the training, and Evelien gives the training, and then with the nonverbal behavior, it's like, well, that's what we need more of.
Great. So thank you for the invitation. We will be happy to come again sometimes.
Yeah,
cool. Thank you very much. And to the people who are seeing this, thank you and see you next time.